fell for my coworker Lucy, but her ex-husband's emotional abuse and past trauma threaten our connection. I still can't shake the feeling of worthlessness he instilled in me, she confessed. I need to choose between helping her heal or pursuing my feelings. What should I do? Trigger warnings. Emotional abuse. Sexual assault. Summary: I have been intimate with my coworker, and it has revealed many issues. I am a 31-year-old male seeking guidance on how to best support my friend and coworker Lucy, who is 34 years old. This is a lengthy account, so please bear with me. I will pose a question at the end. I first met Lucy about a year ago when she transferred to my workplace from another location within the company alongside her then partner, David, who is 44 years old and held a higher position than us. I worked closely with Lucy daily, and we became friends, although our connection was not particularly strong at first. I always found Lucy to possess a lovely personality and be incredibly attractive. However, I did not see a reason to pursue a closer relationship with her beyond professionalism for two reasons. First, we worked together, and as is often the case, that does not always end well. Second, she was in a relationship with someone she seemed happy with, and we both worked together. Thus, everything progressed smoothly with no significant changes for a time until I began to feel a growing attraction towards her. As I got to know her better, we developed inside jokes, and my desire for her became more intimate. Then, about 2 months ago, everything shifted. First, Lucy confided in me that she often felt excluded from social activities that some of us from work participated in approximately once a week. I did not disclose to her that the primary reason for her exclusion was not her fault, but rather related to David. David was not popular at work, and people preferred to avoid the possibility of him attending these social events. Nevertheless, I apologized to Lucy and promised to include her more in future activities. The next significant change occurred when Lucy broke up with David. This was evident when she was seen moving into a different house by someone from work, and shortly after, she enlisted the help of a large group of us to collect her belongings from David's house. This breakup did not come as a massive surprise to anyone, as Lucy and David always seemed mismatched. Furthermore, Lucy was generally well-liked at work, while David was mostly disliked. At this point, I realized I had developed feelings for Lucy. However, I felt conflicted. On one hand, I was eager to ask her to spend time with me. On the other hand, I understood she had just ended a 3-year relationship and would likely need time to process it. Therefore, I decided to take a slow approach. The first thing I did was invite Lucy to a group social event, but she could not attend because she was unknowingly visiting her parents that day. She responded positively to the invitation, so I continued to invite her to social gatherings. After one of these events, Lucy asked me if I enjoyed hill walking, to which I replied affirmatively. Consequently, a few days later, we went hill walking together and had lunch at a cafe. This was our first real time spent together one-on-one. Fearful of rejection, I hesitated to ask her if she wanted to go on an official date. This continued for some time until one night, a large group of us from work went out drinking in town. Lucy was present, and we ended up dancing together in a club. Once most others from work had left, Lucy began dancing very closely with me, and I could tell from her gaze that she wanted me to kiss her. So I did, and she kissed me back. In that moment, I overcame my deepest fears of rejection and found myself in the place I longed to be. We went home together that night and were intimate. It was everything I had hoped for and more, and for a brief period, I felt the most content I had been in a long time. Lucy then began to open up to me increasingly, discussing the issues she had with David. Over the following week, as she shared more, I started to understand that her relationship with him had been far worse than I had imagined. David had emotionally abused Lucy for the majority of their 3-year relationship. This manifested in controlling her daily movements, demanding that they arrive and leave work at the same time to present a unified front, preventing her from contacting her own mother while at his home, forcing her to post happy pictures of them together on social media, and telling her she was a terrible person who would never find anyone better than him or anyone who could love her at all. I am sure there is much more I could add to this list, but it provides a general sense of the situation. It turns out Lucy had attempted to leave David 5 times before she finally succeeded. Each time, he persuaded her to return. It took an immense effort from Lucy to finally free herself from him. Learning all this shook me to my core, as I could hardly imagine such horrific behavior taking place. Yet, that is partly why emotional abuse in a relationship can be so difficult to identify. It occurs behind closed doors. Fortunately, Lucy had already sought help before I entered the picture. To this day, she is receiving support from a local counselor and an abused women's charity. With their assistance, she found the strength to leave David for good. I now realize that I cared deeply for Lucy and that she had some deeply ingrained trauma that would take time to address. However, Lucy then shared another piece of information that once more altered my perspective on the world. Lucy had previously worked for the same company, just at a different location. On her last day there, she was raped by a coworker, a man I also know and had previously worked alongside. The mere thought of this man touching Lucy made me feel physically ill, and at that moment, I recognized the need to set aside my own wants and desires to help Lucy focus entirely on her own healing. We continued to see each other for about a week, but I could sense Lucy felt guilty about moving on to me from David so quickly. We talked about these feelings several times, and each time she assured me that she was content with taking things slow. A few days ago, however, something changed again. Lucy decided to take a couple of weeks off to visit her family, which I encouraged her to do. This would be the first time in years that she could enjoy quality time with those closest to her without the burden of David looming over her. I dropped her off at the airport and hugged her goodbye. Later that evening, she began messaging me, and I could tell from the tone of her messages that something was wrong. I asked her to call me when she returned home from her night out with her cousins, which she did. During the call, she explained that while she had been enjoying spending time with me, she still could not shake the feelings of worthlessness and guilt that David had instilled in her. Conversations with her cousins had resurfaced these emotions, and they had understandably advised her to take a step back from dating and not see anyone for a while. Hearing this news was heart-wrenching, but I knew that the absolute worst response would be to react poorly. Therefore, I calmed her down, and we chatted for a bit before agreeing to talk more in the morning. When I called her the following morning, we talked again and agreed that while we both still wished to see each other, it would likely be in Lucy's best interest to refrain from being intimate for a while. I inquired if our working relationship was part of the issue and if it would always be a concern. She replied that she was unsure but noted that while she would prefer we were not colleagues, I fulfilled many other criteria she sought in a relationship. Now Lucy will remain with her family for another week before returning. I will pick her up from the airport and take her home, at which point we will continue our conversation. We are still messaging and calling every day. My question for you, Reddit, is what would you do in my situation? I understand that I need to support Lucy wholeheartedly so she can heal from the events that have traumatized her. I want to do this in the best way possible. Part of me thinks that I should adjust my mindset to view our connection as merely friendship so that I can begin to let go of my feelings for her. It is unfair for me to impose any demands on her because if I did, I would become just like the individuals in her past who abused her. However, another part of me wishes to keep the spark alive, as although it has only been a short time, I find myself caring for her deeply. Regardless, I know I must give her the time and space she needs, which I am committed to do. I am considering writing the following letter to her. What do you think? Lucy. As you know, I sometimes struggle to articulate my thoughts cohesively. Therefore, I decided to write you this letter. There is nothing in this letter that I have not already conveyed to you. However, I believe it might be beneficial to compile it all in one place. First and foremost, I want to reassure you that everything will be okay. You are a remarkable person who gives so much to those around you. Often, you do not even recognize it yourself because it comes so naturally. Life has not always treated you fairly, but I believe that soon balance will be restored. I fully understand that I need to take a step back to allow you to focus on yourself. I will absolutely respect this while also offering my unconditional help if you need it. All you need to do is reach out. Taking care of yourself must be your top priority. I do not know what the future holds, but I am excited to see where it leads you. All I want is for you to make decisions that are best for you without pressure from anyone else, including me. I am not going anywhere, and you do not need to worry about pushing me away. I promise to remain your friend no matter what. There will still be challenging times ahead, but I am incredibly proud of the choices you have already made. You have faced challenges that no one should ever endure. You possess a strength within you that will only grow over time. Please take your time and prioritize your well-being above all else. All my best now and forever. Your names. Story 2. After 5 years of a rocky situationship with Millie, I left a party early only to find out she kissed my best friend Mitch. It was a mistake. We regretted it immediately, she cried. Now I'm stuck. Should I rebuild trust or cut ties with both? The future feels uncertain. TLDR, I have been in a 5-year on and off situationship with a woman named Millie. Recently, after a drunken night out, she kissed my longtime friend Mitch. Although the kiss was a mistake, it took me by surprise. Mitch did not apologize to me in person right away, and now the situation is awkward. I am struggling to decide whether to continue these relationships, let go of Millie, or distance myself from Mitch, who has been acting out. I am unsure of how to move forward and whether this betrayal can be repaired. Here is a bit of the backstory to provide context for what happened. I have known Millie for several years. Our history is complicated. We have had a 5-year on-and-off situationship, primarily on that began with dating for the first 3 years, which was extremely toxic. After the chaos and a few months apart, we agreed to continue seeing each other in a situationship to see if we could improve, establishing some ground rules regarding fidelity and trying to avoid drama. We are both in better emotional places now. In her defense, she lost her mother around the time we began dating, but I am still affected by her past behavior years later. Over the past 5 years, through all the ups and downs, Millie and I have visited the pub with 2 other friends, one of whom is Mitch. The toxic phase was challenging. It all came to an end during a holiday when Millie began to act erratically, and I realized I could not continue the relationship. Since then, Millie has experienced significant personal growth, but I still have my own trauma to work through. This has left me feeling more reserved, less trusting, less enthusiastic, and more inclined to walk away when problems arise. I will not pretend that I have moved on, especially considering all that I went through with her during her manic, suicidal episodes, during which she took advantage of me in ways that were unfair and are not appropriate to discuss here. Recently, Millie has expressed a desire for us to date again. I suggested that we take a holiday together in a couple of months, which I had booked prior to this discussion, to help us decide on commitment afterward and ensure she can handle going on a holiday without jeopardizing it, which would be a deal breaker. She was not thrilled about the idea but accepted it, and I believed everything was fine. That is when things took a turn. One night we were all at the pub drinking. I had to leave early because I had worked the following day from 6:00 a.m. to 10:00 a.m. What a hassle for a Saturday shift, but Mitch and Millie wanted to keep drinking in the park. When I woke up the next morning after work, I attempted to call Millie several times to offer her a ride back to her car, but I could not reach her. She eventually answered, and I discovered she had stayed over at Mitch's place. She had done this before, so I was not overly suspicious. However, she seemed flustered when she got into my car. I had just binge drank, slept for 3 hours, and gone to work at 6:00 a.m., so I did not think much of it. Then, a week later, she confessed to me what had transpired. Apparently that night she had been venting to Mitch about our struggles. They shared a moment together and she kissed him. She claimed it was a mistake and that they both regretted it immediately. She freaked out, cried, and vomited. Honestly, it was unexpected. The way she brought it up was strange. I had mentioned I would go drinking with some coworkers that weekend, and she said, "If you want, you can kiss them, just nothing more than that." I was confused because that was an odd thing to say, and she is usually very clingy. Then she broke down crying and told me what had happened. I could not believe it. It was something I never saw coming. A kiss is one thing, but after everything we have been through, I wondered if this was the end of our 5-year situationship. As for Mitch, he has been part of my close friend group for 18 years. Losing him too felt like losing everything. I did not lose my composure, although I may have on that day. Who wouldn't? But I took it better than I anticipated. It was not as if they had slept together or done anything worse, yet this betrayal felt entirely unexpected. I was unsure what to do, especially since Mitch is the glue that holds most of my friendships together. He is somewhat of a loner and not the type of guy to pursue women. I am 99% certain this was his first kiss. I assumed he did not even have romantic feelings for Millie, which made the entire situation feel even stranger. Fast forward about 9 weeks. During that time, Millie and I have maintained the same standing. We are still planning the holiday, and she has been working hard to demonstrate that she has matured. She even bought me an incredibly expensive gift out of the blue, just to show she cares. If the gesture was not intended to mend things, I would probably have felt compelled to marry her due to how meaningful that gift was. I am uncertain if everything is resolved yet, but we remain in constant communication. I informed Mitch about the kiss a week after it occurred. I told him he should have approached me immediately, apologized, and been honest about everything. He did apologize, but it felt insufficient since I had to prompt him to do so. Since then, we have had a few awkward encounters, one by accident and one at a party, but we have not discussed the kiss again. This has been frustrating because it seems like he is taking this situation harder than I am. He is out every night now, posting about it on Instagram, which he has never done in his life, while acting as if nothing has happened or that everything is great for him. Meanwhile, I feel like I have lost everything. I find engaging with new people to be incredibly distressing. He used to bring me to parties and events, and we would simply ignore everyone else and chat within our group of 4. I do not know if I will ever regain my social ease. I reached out to Mitch's mother shortly afterward regarding an unrelated matter, and she mentioned in person that they had both passed out on the couches, which reassured me that nothing sexual occurred or that they were at least not naked in bed together. Mitch has been dealing with his own struggles as well. I discovered he has been self-harming, which is completely out of character for him, and that he crashed his car after drinking too much. It seems as if he is on a path of self-destruction. A friend briefly mentioned that he is not doing well recently, but I did not investigate further and I am unsure how to support him. I never imagined our friendship would end like this. So here I am, uncertain about what to do. Why didn't he step up and say, I am sorry for betraying you in person? I would have. I have known him for 18 years and that is what a true friend would do, right? I feel like I cannot ask anyone in my life for advice because it would only complicate matters if it got out. I simply do not know what to do next.